Is Monti Ossenfort showing his hand a bit with which direction the Arizona Cardinals could go at 16th overall? Got a trio of beef coming in prospect-wise to meet with the Cardinals, Johnny Venerable.
Plus, we compare last year's top 30 visits and how they came to fruition or not. Plus, who after Trey McBride's extension is most deserving. We've got two candidates. It's PHNX Cardinals on a loaded Monday. Starts now. Hey, welcome in. Live from Studio K, presented by our friends at Circle K. It's the PHNX Cardinals podcast, your premier #1 Arizona Cardinal podcast. Like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star wherever you get your programming. I'm Johnny Venerable. He's Bo Brack, smoldering Bo Brack in Studio K with our guy, Snack of Peru, Damon Dawg, behind the mic. Bo, Damon, everybody, welcome to the show here on a Football Monday, brought to you by our friends at Studio K. It's Circle K. Join the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply. Participating locations, visit CircleK.com for more details. What a loaded week of content do we have for you on PHNX Cardinals?
If we could only divulge it all right now and tell people what's in store, but exciting things on the horizon here for this humble little fanboy podcast. What's going on? I see Emily, Jojo, Pedro, K2, Rebel, Mike, Digital Dust. What do we got here? Jiminy, I love that. Ozzy, always in here. K2, Chef, what's going on, my guy? ZT, the squad is here, and they are ready to talk some ball. Hello, friends. Yeah, let's get it going. Johnny Venerable, Damon Dawg, some new names we got to add on top of the ones Mike Garafolo fed this very program late last week. We got, I think, half of the top 30 visits pretty much locked and loaded.
Yeah, and there's a theme, and we're going to get to the theme in just a second, but something came across the Twitter streets that I missed earlier today that I think Bo and I would love to just immediately shoot down right now. In these top visits, you're going to find a lot of edge rushers and defensive ends and kind of players all over the place. Here's a name you won't find on it, Shedeur Sanders. The Cardinals are not taking Shedeur Sanders, 16th overall. I didn't know that we had to clarify that atop the show Monday, April 7th. No chance that the Cardinals take Shedeur Sanders. I guess Adam Schefter was on Pat McAfee today, and here's what I think is happening. He floated like basically throwing darts at the wall, wild card scenarios for Shedeur, and he threw up Miami, and he said Arizona at 16.
Yeah.
I think this is Shedeur's camp damage control, because I think right now what you're seeing is the Giants are not going to take Shedeur Sanders. And whether it's the Steelers he mentioned all the way in the 20s or maybe the Saints at 9, they're looking for some juice. And they want to be able to increase the likelihood he goes high. And so it's like, let's just float Arizona's name in there so then somebody has to go up and get him ahead of Arizona. I think this is all propaganda. And again, play your game, Sanders family. Do what you got to do. There is no reality in which the Arizona Cardinals draft Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah.
0.000.
Times are tough in the Sanders household or camp if this is the case. And the Arizona Cardinals, I don't even think have probably even like spoken with Shedeur Sanders really legitimately, informally, formally throughout this draft process. I would be pretty shocked. It just, with the off season that Colorado endured before, pretty successful, the most successful campaign under Prime this past season, as they were in the running to win the Big 12 or go to the Big 12 championship game. But like the way that, there was a, Twitter back and forth between Shedeur and previous teammates and stuff like that, that just doesn't seem to me the type of character that Jonathan Gannon or Monti Ossenfort have the appetite for. and they are firmly in the Kyler Murray business. And I know that, we've talked about even in a developmental situation that the Cardinals should eye a quarterback just because that's smart business in the NFL and having a really stable quarterback room. But there is no future that I envision that has Shedeur Sanders and the Cardinals together in it.
Never. And I mean, you hit the nail on the head from a off the field perspective. I don't even think he fits what the Cardinals want on the field, right?
Yeah, they want a mobile guy. They want somebody who can move a little bit.
They want somebody who can boot outside the pocket, that can make plays with their leg. I love our guy, Jordan Schultz, friend of the program, who's been crushing it this offseason, breaking stories left and right. But he's out there, working with the Sanders camp, and he's very pro players, selling the fact that, hey, nothing wrong with a conventional pocket passer, right? I mean, sure, I guess, right? You're not taking those guys as high as you used to, right? Like you're not taking a Mac Jones once upon a time now in the first round. I think Shedeur Sanders in the right scenario is going to be a good player. I'm not sure he'll ever be great. He doesn't have special attributes to me. And then you couple that with all the kind of the hoopla that comes with him, which the Cardinals are so very specific about who they bring into their locker room, the infrastructure. And then lastly, Jonathan Gannon loves Kyler Murray. I know Schefter made a little bit about, Michael Bidwell maybe not loving Kyler Murray. I don't know if that's true or not. Jonathan Gannon loves Kyler Murray, and Jonathan Gannon's calling the shots right now with his franchise quarterback. So are the Cardinals not going to take a quarterback in this draft? I have no idea. I've been staunchly committed. Like, you like a developmental guy, they've earned that right. But in this class right now, when you've got a bevy of edge rushers that we're going to talk about, defensive tackles available to you at 16, and you watch a bunch of teams desperate, praying on their hands and knees to be saved by a first-round quarterback, and they're passing on Shedeur Sanders, why the hell would the Cardinals do that?
Right. No, and look, we're under, full transparency. We're under the All-City umbrella, and one of our biggest shows on this entire network is DNVR Buffs. They do a great job covering that program. And Shedeur Sanders has played there for the last 2 seasons, and they'll go to war for Shedeur Sanders, right? They think that he is a perfect prospect in a sense, right? And I don't want to put, words in Jake and RK and Scott's mouth or anything like that, but I think that they will go to war against any kind of storyline going against Shedeur Sanders, where I think that there's just some things like, we did witness Shedeur Sanders at the Super Bowl, and him and his entourage, very respectful. I think he's a good kid, right? And a nice up and coming, professional quarterback. But at the same time, I think that there's ways that he conducted himself, especially last offseason, that disqualified him as far as in the Cardinals' eyes to be a franchise quarterback. Like, you can say two things at the same time, where he's a good guy, like he's got decent tape, but at the same time, he doesn't fit what the Cardinals are looking for from especially a leadership standpoint, and you just overall player standpoint and what they want from their quarterback.
Everybody drop a like on this video. Subscribe to PHNX Sports Loaded Monday show. Again, that came across the last minute here. Yeah, drop us a like.
Did you see the thing about Milroe too?
Yeah, I mean, let's jump into that. Jalen Milroe is attending the draft in, where is it, Green Bay this year? Is attending.
He didn't buy a ticket. He got the invite. He didn't buy a ticket like everybody else. He was, and it's supposedly more exclusive.
You're such a jackass. Get out of here with that. You're talking to a guy. I like Jalen Milroe a lot.
I know you do.
He doesn't need a ticket. He's a good player.
Yeah, but I mean, everybody kind of reading the tea leaves there is like, teams have a first round grade on him enough so to where the NFL extended that invitation. Like, they were trying to weed out. Allegedly, they're trying to weed out these guys who have these like long falls and stays in the NFL draft green room, where, I mean, they got to have some pretty concrete evidence that's going to say Jalen Milroe is going to go in the first round in order for him to go to Green Bay, wear a nice suit, and sit around for a while.
Here's what I would ask Jalen and his family. You sure about that? Are you sure that this is a good idea? Are you sure about that, Jalen? I love me some Jalen Milroe. Take him in the top 100. Cardinals would have no issue with that. Developmental kid, great kid. First round pick, looks like. I mean, top 40 pick, certainly. Like, I think there's a 50-50 chance you and I kick up the live stream day 2 of the draft in studio. He's not in the green room. That's pretty nuts, Jalen Milroe. Yeah. But you're talking about Shedeur Sanders, Jackson Dart, Jalen Milroe. It's going to be interesting to see how the dominoes fall. I am a little concerned, though, now with Shedeur and the lukewarm reception that he's getting right now. Does he get pushed beyond the Cardinals pick, and does it push a player that we like into the hands of another team? We always felt like we could burn that card of Shedeur going to the Giants, to the Saints, and it could very well still happen. But we're going to talk about these prospects the Cardinals are working out, and they are covering every single basis, as they should, because of the fact that their pick could go in a lot of different directions, Bo.
Yeah, it can. And, their top 30 visits don't necessarily indicate that, but they're doing their homework, right, on some kind of diverse style prospects. But, yeah, I mean, Shedeur, even if he's still on the board. And Fran Duffy told us this much last Wednesday, when you asked him point blank about Shedeur Sanders. He's like, if you ask me today, it was on April 2nd that he felt like 16th overall, Shedeur Sanders is still on the board while the Cardinals are on the clock. So, like, does that invite a team that wants to get up and trade for him? But, some of the quarterback hungry teams, they're ahead of the Cardinals, or they were picking in front of the Cardinals, where the teams behind them are playoff teams, and they've got a pretty well-entrenched quarterback outside of Pittsburgh. It really is a fascinating story. I agree with Fran. It's going to be the talk of day one of the NFL draft is Shedeur Sanders and how long he's waiting. And then poor Jalen Milroe will then maybe be next. Because I can't imagine Milroe goes before Shedeur. Can you?
That'd be unbelievable. I think right now, Shedeur Sanders is due for a pretty seismic fall from grace here. I think when people are talking about Tennessee just outright canceling his visit, like if you even think there's a margin for he could be better than Cam Ward, then you take the visit. You got nothing to lose. They canceled this visit. They went to his pro day and they're like, we've seen it. We're good. Yeah. We're good. We don't need to see anything else here. Teams talk. The league talks. I think he is not his dad as an athlete. I think a lot of us thought when he went to Colorado, didn't watch him play at that private university. No. And like, if I'm signing up for Deion's family, which is a little bit like a reality show, I don't think that's being disrespectful. I want Deion Sanders.
They legitimately did a reality show.
Right. I want, it's like the Kardashians of the NFL, which is great. I want Deion Sanders, elite athlete, and I'm not getting that. Like, I'm getting what? Teddy Bridgewater? Geno Smith plus? That's a concern for me. And if I'm a lot of these teams, it's like, if this goes bad, I think it could go bad. I think it could be embarrassing. I think there could be a power struggle. I think that you're always going to be on the lookout. If I'm coaching him, am I going to get Wally Pitt by his dad at some point? I think
it just plays me even more so into the absurdity of Schefter's comments on Pat McAfee. It's like,
they're so bad.
You think the Cardinals want to sign up for a reality style locker room? You think they want to?
We tried that already.
You think they want to bring in a first round quarterback with that type of baggage, I guess you could call it, like where he would come in and he's got his dad, as you mentioned, who could certainly be vying for head coach, not here. I think Jonathan Gannon's firmly in place, but if you miss on a first round pick by utilizing on a quarterback, the ice gets a little thinner, right? It's just you wouldn't want that type of a distraction as a backup quarterback, and I mean that like in the most respectful way. I do. Like, you can't deny that there's there's noise around Shedeur there that aren't there surrounding like some of the other quarterback prospects. It's in a good way too, like because of his marketing, his branding, like that's all great. He's going to cash in. But as far as a team that wants to focus on winning football games in 2025, it doesn't help.
The Cardinals' best position right now is to keep building around Kyler Murray for this season and hopefully beyond, and make the playoffs and win playoff games and have the best possible 53-man roster. I mean, Shedeur Sanders at 16, same reason I'm not knocking the point home for an offensive tackle at 16. Like, fair or not, I want this player that they take to be a contributor this year, to help them get to where they want to be. Not a savior, but a contributor. Speaking of that, right around the corner, the updated top 30 visits for the Arizona Cardinals, offense and defense. There were 3 new names that we've added today, plus everything that Mike Garafolo broke on this show as it relates to the edge class. Cardinals are getting busy, and they're getting busy with front seven. That's coming up, PHNX Cardinals. Fired up for draft season. We are less than 3 weeks away, and I'm trying to stay cool under pressure, and I'm doing so with my friends at All Pro Shades Concept. Extend your outdoor living space with a custom fit awning. Hundreds of designs, colors to choose from. Motorized, by the way, with a remote control. They've got LED lighting. This is big time. Roll down patio shades, block the sun, keep the patio up to 20 degrees cooler. Supposed to hit upper 80s this week. I'm missing 65, 70. I can get it with our friends at All Pro Shade Concepts. Hundreds of colors, durable fabric to withstand that Arizona sun. They can also, and this is key, Bo, they can replace and fix most old or outdated patio shades and motorized awning. So now a lot of people are like, I don't want to start from scratch. Give them a call. They do free estimates right now because they're the most trusted, locally owned and operated All Pro Shades company. Motorized shades by Arizona since 2024. They've got the BBB A+ rating with over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google. If you're getting shades, you're getting All Pro Shades. It's the best bang for your buck. 20 years in the Valley. Again, check them out. Licensed, bonded, and insured. Call 623-204-1476 or visit allproshades.com to schedule your free home estimate, Bo.
Oh, man. I love that. I love what's going on as far as, finding ways to say cool. You'd be feeling real cool behind the wheel of a brand new vehicle from our friends over at Sanderson Ford, the dealership that is service built. They got from America for America employee pricing going on at Sanderson Ford as well. Check out all the vehicles they have on their lot right now and just go check them out. Get some insight on them. Talk to their unbelievable sales staff that thrives on their no hassle, no pressure, no nonsense sales approach. They're not just going to try to sell you something to just get you behind the wheel and make a quick buck. No, they want to find you the car of your dreams, the truck of your dreams. How about the F-150? How about a Super Duty? You got the Mavericks. You got off-road capabilities plus full-size Broncos Sports. Check them out right now. And you're going to find them on the 65 glorious acres there in the West Valley at Sanderson Ford. Been going around for a long time, 4 decades, nearly 5 decades. Go, of course, you got the 2024 models, finance offers, 36 months, OAC through Ford credit. Discounts include Ford rebates, Sanderson discounts, plus trade assistance and Conquest Cash you must qualify for. Check them out, Sanderson Ford, sandersonford.com.
Big thanks to our friends at Sanderson Ford. We got almost 700 people watching live right now. Hit that like button. Man, wait till you see what this little podcast has up its sleeves this week alone. And if you want to see it, you got to be subscribed to PHNX Sports here on YouTube. We are barreling our way to 40,000 subscribers. This is your premier Arizona Cardinal podcast for a reason. Breaking it down like only we can here with all of you. Top 30 visits. Mike Garafolo came on this show last week, broke the news, Bo. James Pierce Jr. and Jalen Walker have been or will be taking top 30 visits. Then he added the pass rusher alongside Jalen Walker at Georgia, Michael Williams. And we thought, okay, great. Getting down to brass tacks, doing the edge class. Calais Campbell's in-house. Maybe they're going to punt on defensive tackles. Wrong again. Top 30 visits updated. This is from a slew of online sources today, the big wigs. Let's take a look, Damon, at the defensive visits added today. Some of our favorites. How about Walter Nolen, defensive lineman, defensive tackle out of Ole Miss. Shemar Stewart, Texas A&M. And then TJ Sanders, another defensive tackle out of South Carolina. Turner and Sanders, likely day 2 picks at 47. Whereas Walter Nolen, a huge fan are we at this podcast. Same with James Pierce Jr. It's poetic that they're next to each other on this list. Bo, your reaction to the most recent additions to this?
You love it because this is just how I think good organizations operate. They add guys and they don't get complacent, content by adding a 38, 39-year-old defensive lineman. You have confidence that can play, but you understand that to be consistently successful in this league, you got to have young depth that you can draft, develop, and then hopefully extend. I know we'll get into our extension candidates here pretty soon, but man, I mean, this them not shying away from it really kind of bleeds into or pushes into the narrative that we're surrounded by, Benjamin Albright, this podcast, Mike Garafolo, that they wanted to can really rebuild this defensive front seven, and it doesn't just end with free agency kind of in the rearview mirror. They're going to do it with with the intent of doing it in this draft, which is just flush with defensive front seven talent.
Let's give credit where credit's due. Schefter, after his ridiculous Shedeur Sanders report, he did report that TJ Sanders is visiting with the Cardinals.
Maybe that's what he meant. Maybe that's what, you know what, TJ Sanders, yeah, I think he'd be a great fit for the Cardinals.
Shedeur, TJ, let's just lump them in together. TJ's in the Valley tomorrow. Walter Nolen is coming later this week. He is visiting with the Bengals, who pick right behind the Cardinals, the Cowboys, the Panthers, and the 49ers. Walter Nolen is a hot commodity. And then lastly, Shemar Turner, Texas A&M defensive tackle. He's doing a pre-draft visit with the Cardinals, reported on by James Layton. So, again, a lot of movement, a lot of action with the Cardinals in their front seven right now. And, again, I think you and I are pretty lockstep. And we do this show often enough, hundreds of shows a year, where we disagree on a lot. But when it comes to the draft, and typically with the Cardinals' first pick, because we're in this every day in the trenches with all 700 of you, it's easy to see like the path in front of us. And it's easy to see how the team wants to operate. You cannot convince me that this team is going to sit there at 16 and take an offensive tackle. I just cannot be conditioned to think that. I know that Justin Fry has ties to Ohio State. That's the worst kept secret on earth. He was there last year. Josh Simmons is not worth the 16th overall pick right now. Did you guys see who he's meeting with? The Ravens, the Packers, teams picking in the 20s, right? That can afford to do that. Not a team picking 16 that's got to make the playoffs that would sit him all year. Unless your name is Will Campbell or Membu, you're not an Arizona Cardinal at 16. So
right.
Okay, if it's not a tackle, Bo, then what other positions could it be? I think it's Will Johnson, or you're picking from one of the 10 names we just broke down on the front seven.
Logically. And we're going to get to some illogical takes as far as what the next position they should go after at 16th overall, but that's way later in the show. A familiar name that's on the draft streets. But look, no doubt about it. Defensive front seven. I think that they're not just telegraphing this. I think it becomes tough at 16th overall. Like last year, where they had 6 going into the draft, top 100 picks, and they had the 4th overall pick. And the previous year, they had the 3rd overall pick. I think the pool of players that you get to bring in for top 30 visits kind of gets whittled down to first round talent, just because you have to be able to go any direction at 16th overall. You've got way more teams picking ahead of you. So you have to be, have the ability to kind of understand like who these prospects are that are going to be kind of in your vicinity there. So that's why I think you're seeing more kind of big names here than you did in the past. I mean, we're halfway through the top 30 visits that we've locked down, and most of them, like outside of Cam Scatteraboo, are day 1 and day 2 picks. So I think the defensive front seven, they've clearly identified, like, we like the additions we made in free agency, but we understand like Dalvin Tomlinson's 32 years old. Josh Sweat, this is his big contract. He's 28 years old. And then Calais Campbell is going to be 39 years old, 38, 39 years old. We need to continue to retool this thing. And just because we added talent now doesn't mean we don't want talent for the future.
I want to get to this comment from dear friend of the program, Han Shot First. Most of the local Cardinal sports media seems to think the team drafts an offensive lineman in the first round. Listen, I don't want to come on here and poo-poo the other media outlets here in the Valley, but I am lockstep with this show and this network. Tell me who's worth the 16th overall pick that plays offensive lineman. Tell me the Cardinals' philosophy for paying guards, adding guards, what their developmental plan is. They found Yellow Froholt for no money and developed him. Isaiah Adams was a 3rd-round pick last year. They're developing him into a starter. They got Will Hernandez on the cheap. Paris is an outlier because he was the best tackle in that class. The Cardinals do not want to be picking from the 3rd, 4th, and 5th best offensive tackles in this draft when they could get, in my opinion, a blue chip front seven player, when that is clearly the biggest need.
Yeah.
There is no room for a rookie offensive lineman, Sands at left guard, and you better not take that at 16 to start for this team, right? There's just not. And the Cardinals showed you they were ready to pay up to a certain extent for a guard, but they weren't paying Will Fry's money. And they said, you know what? We're going to just bring back Evan Brown. We're going to draft a guard or a right tackle or both and develop these guys. And guess what? We didn't have this at the end of last week, and it kind of came through the grapevine with Ossenfort at the owners' meetings last week. Jonah Williams is going to be ready to go to start this year. And they also brought back Kelvin Beachum.
Right.
So everybody wants to take Josh Simmons, 16th overall. Hey, congratulations. That's DJ Humphries in 2015 where he redshirts. Does anybody want to do that?
Somebody asked him why we wouldn't want him at 16. And to Fran's point last week, I think it's fantastic. And it makes the main point is the patellar tendon is not something that it's not as routine as the ACLs and most of the ligaments are in guys coming back from it. It's a less of an exact science as far as the procedure goes. So, like, is Josh Simmons going to be ready? Yeah, there you go. ABOT 777. It's 16 months ago. He didn't rehab it. It still isn't right. Look, I know Jimmy Graham injured it. He really wasn't right after that. I know he played on, but it wasn't the same tight end. The Cardinals, I think, are hell-bent on rebuilding this defensive front seven. If the off chance of somebody like Membu or Campbell slips or slides down the draft board, maybe they'll have that conversation. I'm sure with all the different scenarios that Monti Ossenfort and his crew go through, they will do that. But I just don't think that they have the luxury just yet of getting guys drafting and stashing, especially when you're right in the smack dab middle of the draft. Like you should be able to find an immediate impact maker right there.
Jerzon Newton, we loved on this podcast last year. We gushed over him. His tape was elite. Josh Simmons got great tape. What happened to Jerzon Newton last year? I know it's not X's and O's. He had a lower body injury to his foot. He had surgery in January. Guess what? Didn't go in the first round. Like, would it shock me if we're sitting there at the end of day one on Thursday night at Heatla and Josh Simmons is selected? No. I think I'm going to tell you right now, I think there's a decent chance he doesn't go in the first round. Like, he's not ready to perform for teams. And if you're a general manager, and this is a good tackle class, it's not a great one, and you've got a bevy of plug-and-play defensive linemen available to you, and we know the teams that draft in the 20s are super smart. They make all the right decisions, so that's why they're consistently there. It's just like, well, I'm just going to go ahead and take a guy that's healthy now. And I'm going to take a guy with a high ceiling, and they're going to play defensive line for me. Or you could see a flurry of guards, interior offensive linemen go in the latter part of the first round. You can't F around at 16 with this. I'm sorry. You just can't. You have to have what is, in your mind, the safest bet with the highest floor. And that's the guys that they're bringing in right now. They're vetting James. I know it's kind of a in vogue message point right now that the Cardinals wouldn't touch Walter Nolen and James Pierce Jr. They're flipping them, bringing them into the facility for top 30 workouts. They're all over those guys. They are all over them because they should be. It's
not smoke screening. It really isn't. Like, I think that this is a team that would, in place of trying to smoke screen and that, that gamesmanship, they wouldn't do it in place of information that they can gain from talking to these players. Yeah, to say that, hey, these character red flags are too much, or maybe you're like putting too much into a tweet that you saw that it said that, hey, there's a character red flag on James Pierce Jr. And maybe they figure out, like, ultimately James Pierce Jr. doesn't love ball, and I'm just making that as an example. I don't know that for sure, but that's the deciding factor really with this organization. Do you love ball? Are you willing to commit your life to getting better at it on a daily basis? And it's more so like, hey, we can work with you if you're not well liked, if nobody went to your birthday party to steal from draft day.
Again, like we've had a chance to interview Jonathan Gannon a couple times now. We've had a chance to spend time with him. I'm just putting this out there. He's one of the most humble people, but he's also super effing intimidating. If you think that they bring in James Pierce Jr. or Walter Nolen and they put Jonathan Gannon in front of those players, and JG and Nick Rawlis can't vet those players to the top extent, right, that they're going to be able to make a conscious decision, of course they are. And they're going to be able to say, that's my guy. We're going to go with him. We're going to roll the dice here. I'm going to put aside maybe some stuff that we've heard. Sans Mike Green, because Mike Green's still not taking a top 30 visit. Like, I have an immense amount of trust. And this is no disrespect to Cliff Kingsbury, but there was also always kind of a question of, could Cliff command that, right? And you saw it toward the end with the dysfunction the arrests and Hollywood Brown extreme speeding ticket and people coming late to practice. Like, I think if they draft Walter Nolen, James Pierce Jr., like they will fall in line because of the infrastructure. That's why, for a lot of different reasons, you hire your head coach. That who is your head coach now in Jonathan Gannon.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's a great point. I mean, James Pierce Jr. has way more to lose in an interview scenario than Gannon and Rollis do. Like,
no. Yeah.
like they're not going to be like, oh man, we gotta be something that we're not, so we can make this kid like us. Like, no, this is James Pierce Jr.'s job interview.
Yeah.
There's some noise around him, and he's got to kind of dispel that and give himself a chance to be in the top half of the first round. This is his last opportunity, or he continues to sink a little bit like a rock in the draft. So like that's his opportunity. And we're just using JPJ as an example. I think that goes for Nolen. If Green ever got an opportunity to sit down and come in the top 30, or if he did like a combine interview formal, then that was his chance. And maybe that he didn't say the right things to put himself in a position to continue on.
Scott saying Mike Green visited last week. I have not seen that. My next question to Bo would be, because we haven't even gotten to the offensive names yet, because it feels like a waste of time. But what's the odds you think Mike Green now takes a top 30 visit?
I have no idea. I mean, that's something we're going to have to look up to see if he did indeed take a Mike.
I'm asking you, like, now that Pierce and Nolen have visited, and it's like we're vetting all these guys,
right?
You think they bring in Mike Green for a top 30 visit?
Do I think so? I mean, I don't know if I would answer that, because I have no clue. I don't know what they know. I mean, I only know what's being reported and what's in the headlines and what he said in his combine podium time. But it just seems like if he doesn't get a top 30, I think that would be the end of the road.
Yeah.
But look, if they do, I think extends his opportunity to be the guy at 16.
Yeah, I think with the way this is trending, we have about half the names. I mean, like I'd probably be pretty surprised if they didn't bring him in at this point. I mean, like, what do you have to lose? Like, no one's going to judge you for a top 30 visit. And they've met with 90% of these guys that we talk about every day. And he's kind of the one outlier. I mean, if they don't do a top 30, I think we can definitively cross him out forever. And I still don't think he'd ever be the pick. But
yeah,
I'd be pretty surprised at this point. It's like, you're bringing in these other guys, and Mike Green on paper, for a lot of people, is a better pass rusher than James Pierce Jr.
Right.
And so it's like, you just take a day and sit with him and try to find out what you know.
He was the most productive pass rusher in the college ranks last year. Somebody's saying I'm being political with my answer. I'm not going to say
no. I think
he needs to come and take a visit or not. It's not up to me. And if it's reported he's taken one, what would it benefit me to say, like, no, I don't think he's going to take a top 30. I think the Cardinals are on it. I can't find any reports of Mike Green visiting the Cardinals. So for me, like, I think that it's very slim chance that he's like a legitimate option on their board.
Especially with all the other available prospects that are play same position or similar position. But I don't know. Be anxious to see. Like this video, real quick, let's look at the offensive guys that have visited. Guess what? It's real quick, super quick, in fact. 2 local running backs and a developmental day 2 tackle in Anthony Belton. Cam Scadaboo, obviously the headliner here, Bo. But yeah, they're definitely taking they're definitely taking an offensive lineman at 16. Definitely.
Anthony Belton, there's a lot to like about Belton is a potential day 2 pick for the Cardinals. I mean, that could be your tackle option there that people keep on kind of pointing to 16 for. I think it's later in the draft. And the running backs, like, I was trying to figure out and vet this Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt from who reported it, and seems to think it was a legitimate top 30, just like Scat, where he came in, met with the team on an official one. It wasn't like a local day thing. So officially through it, 15 names if you add Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt.
So again, we broke down those names. Let's look at last year's names, because again, a lot of people want to talk about, well, does it really matter if they took a top 30 visit? I think it does. And we've got the ammo to prove it here. Here are the Cardinals. Let's start with offense. Their top 30 visits last year. Marvin Harrison Jr., who it was a year ago last Friday that he visited. Rome Odunze. Of course, they've got Malik Neighbors, who eventually went right after Marvin. And then we know they met with Joel extensively at the NFL Combine. But then you started looking at, okay, if they traded down with Minnesota Vikings that we broke down last year, J.C. Latham was in play. And then really they leaned into some developmental receivers. If, they had to pull a Hail Mary, Brendan Rice, Jalen McMillan, Jacob Cowing ended up going to the San Francisco 49ers. Xavier Worthy was a late round pick, obviously. So, I mean, they vetted all the guys that they needed to at 4 with top, 30 visits. And then let's look at the defensive side, Bo. Chop Robinson, Dallas Turner, and Latu, all trade down options. Terrion Arnold probably as well, although he ended up falling into the 20s. And then kind of sniffing around some developmental guys like Christian Boyd and Taylor Upshaw. But they had loved Darius Robinson from the minute. So they sat with him at the Combine. So you could kind of see where the
Robinson did confirm like his availability post-draft. He was one of these guys.
Yeah. And we just found what we could from last year's group. So this isn't everybody, obviously. So, I mean, both of their top 30 visits.
This is what we had reported last year.
Yeah.
Both of their top 30 visits last year, or both their first round picks last year were top 30 visits. St. Paris was the top 30 visit the year before. Yeah. The guy that they take 16th overall is likely going to be a top 30 visit unless something crazy happens. So
all those offensive linemen that we showed as far as those offensive players.
Jihad Campbell, get him on that list. Let's go. Let's get T-Mac on that list. Let's get Tyler Booker and his 21 bench reps. Let's get the kid from 1AA with the stash that plays guard. Let's get Josh.
He's going to play guard. He played tackle in the FCS level.
Woohoo! Woohoo! Let's do it. James Pierce Jr., no thanks. They're taking a defensive lineman or Will Johnson. Although I think Will Johnson.
Think about the complexion of this defensive front, though, if they do or when they do. Whether it's inside or to the pass rush. Just how much difference it would be from one season to the next. You add Sweat. You got a full season of Baron Browning, but you've also got somebody who projects to be potentially a 10-sack guy coming in your building.
If everybody hits, and that's a big question.
Yeah.
If you get Calais from last year and Dalvin Tomlinson plays like he did last year, Sweaty J gives you 8 to 10 sacks, and then whomever they draft is the equivalent of Paris, Marv, where you're just like, this guy's going to get an extension. He's going to have a 5th-year option picked up. If all that falls into place, you can make an argument that it is the single greatest position unit turnaround for this franchise since the team went from Josh Rosen to Kyler Murray, or, Joe Blow, John Skelton, respectfully, to Carson Palmer. That's the magnitude of the switch here. It went from poverty defensive line, the worst front 7, 2 years running in the NFL by many reputable outlets, to, hey, look, we just took a sledgehammer to this, and now we've reannounced ourselves as a serious franchise up front.
Yeah, Ozzy's saying we're slumming it with Uketa. And then, now you got guys with true upside to get pressure on the quarterback and opposing quarterbacks. What it's going to do to elevate their defensive backs, their defensive secondary play, it really is going to be hopefully something to watch. Yeah, D-Rob, BJ Ojulari, guys that kind of get lost in this because of the retooling and rebuilding that's going on, just gives these guys a better opportunity to develop at a better pace. There isn't the pressure like, oh, D-Rob needs to be Calais Campbell, or, the pass rusher that gets drafted potentially at 16. He has to come in and he has to be, the Nick Bosa. It just, there's not that pressure. If he comes in and he just does his job, gets a couple sacks year one, he's going to be, a really part of a revamped, retooled position group. It's going to be great.
Mike saying I'm gonna miss Gardeck. Not gonna lie, I think a lot of people might share that sentiment. I just feel like the Cardinals. I mean, Gardeck, Kazir White, they're remained unsigned. I think the Cardinals. Lucchetta, is he still available? Right, like Victor Dumakagi got a backup deal with the New York Giants. I think the Roy Lopez probably got the best deal out of anybody on the Cardinal defensive line, but the guys the Cardinals let go, they let go for a reason, and most of them are still kind of lingering out there. We get asked maybe every day, is Kazir White a viable option to come back? I mean, I would love Kazir White to come back. It just feels like with each passing day, it feels like a guy is probably going to sign after the draft to some other team here.
Great player. Help change the culture here, but I think he understands the business side of this game, and obviously so does front office and coaching staff. And I mean, it doesn't change that Nick Rawlis named his kid's middle name to Kazir. Like that relationship and that bond is already been, it's big, it's been made, it's strengthened, but at the same time, it doesn't mean like, hey, we're going to be a team that's just, hey, we all like each other. So they want to win football games.
Hey, that guy's a good guy.
Yeah.
Hey, buddy.
I was gonna name my future kid middle name Rolo.
Oh,
so
wow.
pretty tough for me that he's in Detroit now.
I mean, he had some good years, some teams that you follow. Played for the Wildcats, played for the Cardinals. You always have those times.
I love this from Apod. He's a sign of the poverty times. You just got to raise your standards a little bit.
Yeah.
We're raising our standards every day with all of you. Around the corner, Trey McBride, he got paid. Who's next? Two players in particular. We're going to break down their extension timeline. It's PHNX Cardinals.
Is it me? You want me to talk about something special? I can. I
want you to talk about our friends at Carol Royce.
Love Carol Royce and her team over there. Of course, if you're in the market or you're thinking about buying a home, how about selling your home? You got so many questions, things maybe a little uneasy or like perceived uneasy. You got a question, just give Carol and her team a call. Actually, that's the easiest thing. That's step one, 480-776-5231. And visit carolroyceteam.com for all the information, all the details. But look, obviously following sports teams here in the Valley Sun, not the easiest thing to do, but selling your home shouldn't feel like you're trying to root on the Suns into a play-in situation where they're just going to get their doors blown off. You don't want those feelings when you're selling your home. No, you want that guaranteed feeling that you're going to win. And Carol Royce's team is going to get you a dub as far as the real estate market goes here in the Valley. She's been around for 3 decades, her incredible team, and she's going to get you, of course, 100% market value for your home, or she's going to pay the difference. How unbelievable is that? That's the guaranteed difference with Carol Royce and her team of real estate agents. Love it right now. When it's time to sell your home, make the smart play. Call Carol Royce or visit Carol online at carolroyceteam.com. That's carolroyceteam.com. Terms and conditions apply. And of course, just give them a call if you have any questions as far as this real estate market, thinking about buying or selling a home. 480-776-5231.
Big thanks to our friends at Carol Royce. Big thanks to our friends at Monarch Money. Again, finances, they can be messy, especially now. They can be confusing. Monarch Money acts like your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control so you can stop earning and start, get this, growing. Don't just manage your money, friends. Start building wealth with 50% of your first year on our listeners right now. Again, this is the time. Named the Wall Street Journal's best budgeting app of 2025. Monarch Money is the financial tool people actually love. With all of your accounts, credit cards, investments in one place, you'll always know where your money stands without hassle. Right now, and get control of your finances with our friends at Monarch Money using the bonus code, you guessed it, PHNX, monarchmoney.com in your browser, on your computer, in your phone, whatever you want to do, for half off the first year. That's 50% off, monarchmoney.com with bonus code PHNX. Big thanks to everybody in the chat, 900 plus watching live. Again, we're fired up here. We got big time events, big time announcements up around the bend. But Cardinals made a big announcement last week, Bo. Trey McBride becoming the highest paid tight end. Mike Garafolo basically broke it on this show. And so we're fired up for Trey. He's going to be making the most, just slightly above Travis Kelce, $76 million in total. And it may not be long before we have to wait for a couple more extensions, assuming 2025 goes as planned. the two most logical candidates. Can you name them here on this fine program?
Yeah, I mean, I think one plays on the other side of the football, and Garrett Williams, right? Because he came in, he was a third-round pick, and he's going to be just much like Trey McBride, where you don't have the advantage of the fifth-year option as a first-round pick. So you want to get those guys into a lucrative extension before going into the final year of their deal and avoid them hitting the open market. So I think Garrett Williams, no doubt about it, is at least the first guy.
I would say you are correct. And then next up, again, if he plays well, he's got a fifth-year option that you can mingle with, but it's Paris Johnson Jr. at left tackle. Let's see it, Damon Dawg. Extension candidates here. Hey, coincidentally, both drafted in 2023. These are Ossenfort's babies. The first year, you remember the trade down. You remember the extra picks acquired. You remember the moving up for Paris. Paris, Garrett, 23 years old. Peak of their careers ahead of them, hopefully with the Arizona Cardinals. They are signed through 2028 and 2027, respectfully. PFF grade for Paris Johnson Jr. last year, well above average to very good at 80.8. And then Garrett Williams, one of the best corners, maybe the best slot corner in the NFL last year at 82. Even, especially when you consider the Cardinals and lack of pass rush options that they had. Both of these players, Bo, represent even more than Trey, because Trey was around with Steve Keim, and he was not a holdover, but he was in that kind of gray area period. These were when Ossenfort really made his stamp on this roster. Other candidates, potentially Michael Wilson, if he has a good year, can parlay that, maybe a contract extension in a year or so. B.J. Ojulari was their other day two pick. Obviously, things have not gone planned with the injury there. But Paris, the best homegrown left tackle they've had in 20-plus years, and then Garrett Williams, the next great Cardinal DB to wear 21.
Yeah. Dante Stills, I think, is somebody that, they probably wouldn't have to go to the negotiating table a year early in order to get something done, but maybe in the final year of his contract. But, yeah, I mean, Paris, with that fifth-year option, you have to be pretty high profile, I think, to get that post third year, because that's when you're eligible, right? Like the final whistle blows on Paris Johnson Jr.'s third season. He's eligible for an extension. And we saw, I think, Justin Jefferson got it. Quarterbacks, it's after that third year, right? But as far as other positions, you just rarely see it. Could Paris Johnson Jr., could he push that a little bit? Be interesting to see. But I think absolutely Garrett Williams is just the guy that's on the trajectory. Like, you got to get something done in a similar fashion that you did with Trey McBride.
Does it concern you at all when we're talking about paying Garrett Williams and you're already paying Buddha, and it's like Max Melton was a high pick last year, and now we're talking about another defensive back, another corner that you could take at 16, and it's like, how many investments can you make at that position? And I think Will Johnson is an exception. He's a tremendous player. A lot of people think he should go top 12. But that's my only hesitation. It's like, it's a foregone conclusion. If Garrett Williams plays well this year, he's getting extended. Buddha makes big money. Max Melton, the trajectory you hope is he gets extended. There aren't many teams that are paying that kind of money to their defensive back group. Yeah. I think we have no idea what kind of player Elijah Jones is. I think you got to give him a chance. I think Starling Thomas could develop into something. I don't know. That's my only call. It's good. It's first world problems. It's a good problem to have. But at the same time, it's like, could be a lot of funds allocated to that group, a lot of resources.
Well, I think you see the cautionary tales like each and every offseason where teams drag their feet on it.
Yeah.
And you see the number go up, right? So I think that there's an advantage, especially with Garrett Williams. I'm not saying hometown discount. I think that's a little too romantic to say, like, it doesn't really exist.
Right.
But the Cardinals taking Garrett Williams while he wasn't healthy, giving him the opportunity, providing him the opportunity to get healthy and not come back too soon after an ACL tear that did damage his draft stock. But the Cardinals were like, no, we still like you. We want to get you in the building. And they did. And he's turned in and paid it off and been the player that they expected, if not more. And then they love his process, like the legendary story of him with his notebook going into his combine interview. It's one they still talk about. But I think he just fits. He's cut from the same cloth as all the guys that, Gannon and Rollis love that are like the McBrides. He's a great counterpoint part to McBride. Can he be like, I think just playing the slot might take his number down a little bit more. So you're concerned it shouldn't be that high. Like he's not going to go out there and command top corner money, but he's going to get like a handsome payday. I would imagine he probably gets some total money over 80 million.
Yeah. That story Gannon told us, was it on air, off air at the combine this year, where Garrett, it's their first draft, and you're skeptical when a guy's not going to be ready to go, but the Cardinals had the benefactor of clean slate, right? Hey, not minimal expectations for this year, but we're just getting started. We can take a flyer on a guy. And I remember when they drafted him, and you and I were quickly like, didn't he tear his ACL? Isn't he not going to be ready to go? To his credit, man, the minute he stepped on the field that first game against Seattle, intercepted Geno Smith, there has been no like easing him in. He immediately came on the Cardinals scene right around Halloween of 2023 and has been one of the best players on the roster.
Yeah.
And it doesn't usually work like that. It usually looks like what Darius was this year.
Yeah.
Was injured, brought him back, had to play his way back into things, didn't start cooking until the end of the year. And it's like, okay, this year it's going to pop for him. Garrett Williams has been a tremendous football player since the minute he put on Cardinal red and white.
Well, and I think that's why it's easy to pay him. Like that's the price of doing business. And, drafting and developing guys, obviously you got to make tough decisions. You can't pay everybody. Like, and, sometimes, especially in the draft process, you miss, but he didn't miss with Garrett Williams. And if he continues on this trajectory, I know that the NFL can be brutal. Sometimes guys fall off, but just his work ethic, his process dialed in, his athleticism, like it all points to him being one of those guys. And it's just like, you make those deals because otherwise somebody's going to be the beneficiary from that. You don't want that. Like this is why you do it. Like this is the opportunity to get to pay this guy and him continue his days wearing a Cardinals uniform. I don't think you hesitate. And it's the same thing with Trey McBride. It's like, it's just so easy. Just the way, like they really kind of take all the heavy lifting out of it to where your concerns are minimal. And it's just like, this guy's just going to lock him in. He's going to continue to play big snaps for us.
The year that Trey had this year is kind of announcing to the national stage, like he's a premier player.
Yeah.
I think Garrett Williams is going to have that this year where Trey was a great player in 2023, but the national season had to catch up a little bit. And I think that's Garrett Williams this year, especially with this pass rush. I think we're talking about Pro Bowl bursts and top 100 selections. The league's always, for the Cardinals, about a year behind. You will not be behind. Like this video, right around the corner, Bo and I and Damon, we're going to go through the top 16 picks, talk about what we've been hearing, what the league has been saying on some of the risers and the fallers, Shedeur Sanders, on the upcoming NFL draft. Stay tuned.
Yeah, check out our friends over at Pure Edibles. Love our friends there. They found it in Arizona and available in 130 dispensaries statewide. Yeah, you can pretty much find them in every corner here in AZ. Pure gummies, not covered in sugar like all their competitors. You don't want that. You actually just want full-fledged candy company like Pure that are offering gummies that are going to be legit for you. Of course, they got their kicks like Starburst. Choose their soft candies like caramel, and then they've got the hard candies. Pure Effects, they're clearly listed on each 10, so you know exactly what effects to expect and what you're getting into. Pure offers gummies for sleep support, candies with uplifting effects derived with unique cannabinoids such as CBN, CBG, CBD with marijuana derived from THC. Pure up the I-17 in Flagstaff. That's where they were created, but now down in the big leagues here in Phoenix, we love them. Pure gummies designed to be ripped or bit in half, making them easily shareable and easy to dial in your exact dose. Go check them out right now. Pure Edibles products from one of the 130 dispensaries in Arizona. Pure Edibles.
Fired up for our partnership with Pure Edibles and, of course, our friends. The presenting sponsor today, it's Circle K, America's thirst stop right now. Free new membership program. I know traveling for maybe the holidays upcoming next weekend, you want to make sure you have a full tank. Become a member of the Inner Circle right now. So easy. Save 25 cents per gallon in your first 5 fill-ups. You're going to save 3 cents per gallon every single day. It's like right now, this economy, do yourself a favor and save money and do it with our friends at Circle K. All you got to do, so easy to download. Enter your email, your phone number. You're going to be fully enrolled. After that, you just need your phone number at the pump to get all the deals. Plenty of other member exclusive deals as well. Join the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for more details. Speaking of saving money, right now, if you are a diehard, you are getting 20% off. Count it, 20% off our draft day tickets. And what does our draft day look like? Well, it looks like you, me, Bo. We're hanging out at Gila River Resorts and Casinos Wild Horse Pass Thursday, April 24th. Count it, less than 3 weeks. 2 weeks from this Thursday, 5 p.m. Upper Deck Kitchen Bar via our friends at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Your ticket is going to get you all-you-can-eat buffet. It's going to get you 3 drink tickets. It's going to give you an opportunity to win multiple giveaways, right? We gave away giveaways like last year, like candy, guest appearances, and more. We want to see you right now. Get your tickets. Tag us on Twitter. Can't wait to party with you.
No, I can't wait. What are we? We're almost 2 weeks away from the event. 2.5 weeks. Unbelievable. Can't get here soon enough. Can't wait to party with all of you. Lock in your spot today. Go phnx.com/events. The easiest way to find it. We've, of course, got the link here in the show notes as well. But April 24th and then 25th and 26th is going to be elite.
Can't wait to see. Hopefully our guy Han Shot First is there. Hopefully we see Jessica, all of you guys. Shaft's going to be there. Hit us up in the chat right now, live on air. If you've got your tickets and you're coming, we can't wait to party with you. And again, I apologize if you told me already. We just got so much stuff going on with this little fanboy podcast. It's like, that's just going to be the sweetener of these next 2 weeks. We've got Mike Garafolo coming back, hopefully multiple times before the draft.
Yeah.
People have been asking about our friend Benjamin Albright, trying to get him locked in before the draft as well. So we're trying to bring on the heavy hitters. Of course, Fran Duffy, nobody does it better, NFL Draft Insider, and some other special surprises here upcoming.
Benjamin Albright, keeping everybody straight with their wolf facts out there. Did you see this? Time Magazine was it a dire wolf? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
They were reporting on the return of the dire wolf that's been extinct, and Benjamin Albright said, no. Quote tweeting said, "What are we doing here? We need to get our wolves. That ain't no dire wolf." Shot it down.
Some would say Benjamin Albright is the dire wolf of the NFL community, where he does. Abbott knows. He does know his stuff here. He absolutely does. It's one of our favorite people.
Come in with factually incorrect wolf insight, because I will call you out. I'll put you on blast, son.
I'm going to tell you right now, and we always say this, when this fanboy podcast was just getting going and we were trying to get guests and we were trying to get some cachet and some juice, that man came on with us from day one. He broke the Jonathan Gannon news on this show. We were forever indebted to our friend Benjamin Albright. So there's no Benjamin Albright slander here. Never.
I told Bo off air, Johnny, I believe him.
Yeah,
I do too.
Because I mean, if he's going to be that adamant, what are we doing here?
I can't wait to be at some sort of social setting. Maybe it's the draft party. Somebody brings up a dire wolf. I'm shooting it right down. Based on what my guy Ben's telling me. Benjamin, I apologize, on social media streets.
I mean, when we see Albright in the future, like, we have to ask him, I think, about this 100%.
The best thing about Albright,
I'm gonna get a hard copy of Time Magazine, which I don't even think it might be all digital now, but I'm gonna get it. So maybe he can sign that copy.
Electric. Hey, Benjamin, how did you become a wolf guy?
He is so a matter of fact about everything. When he comes on our show, it's just, he's a lightning rod, and I love him to death. And he's busy. We're gonna try to get him before the draft. Let's go through, if we could. Damon, do we have that Twitter engagement? I put it in the show. There it is. So let's tee things off with people who don't know what they're talking about. Jordan Reed, who we like, who's been on this show. Toughest team right now in round one. Saints.
He does know what he's talking about.
He does. We like Jordan Reed. Plenty of QB steam, but a new coach, and there's a ton of need on New Orleans depth chart. To which Matt Miller responds, Cardinals too, at least for me, could go best player available. That's interesting. Could go wide receiver. What? Could go edge. So many options. So many options, Bo, says Matt Miller of ESPN.
Yeah, Jordan. I think Jordan Reed, he did reply to that and said agreed, but mostly thought defensive line. And it was, I think he was just kind of being nice to his colleague over there at ESPN. It's like, yeah, Matt, I agree, man. Like they could go several different directions, but let's focus on where I really think they could go. In the true team that's a mystery is the Saints, not so much.
It's funny. I think Matt is a nice guy. He subscribes to, by the way, if you're watching with one of our many streaming partners, get on over because it's about to get good at gophnx.com. Welcome, friends. Yeah, it's the overtime, baby. OT. Matt Miller subscribes to what I think a lot of what, respectfully, the local media here, some of them subscribe to is, if I present everything as a possible option, I will never be wrong. Oh, on this date, I said they could take a guard and then a corner here. And then, they like wide receivers here too.
Yeah.
Oh, man, remember when I said that on Twitter, on local radio, and boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
That's not how we operate. Some people operate like that. Like, we're not CYA cover our asses on PHNX Cardinals.
Right.
We're going to give you our honest opinion. Most of it is fact-based. And if we're wrong, we'll come out and say it. But guess what? Cardinals are not taking a receiver at 16. What is this? What are we doing?
That's why I love talking to Fran Duffy. He just shoots you straight. He just goes off of the film. He goes off the data. He goes off what he's hearing. And he's not just trying to, play this guessing game where he's never wrong. Well, like they don't go offensive line. I could certainly see them going wide receiver, running back, maybe even tight end. I don't know.
There you go, Zag.
Yeah, it's I don't think it's just throughout these draft seasons I haven't heard anything. I'm always going to be skeptical of Matt Miller.
I, for one, am shocked that Matt Miller doesn't have his finger on the pulse of the Cardinals. He typically does.
One of the least informed people of this franchise, respectfully. And again,
which ones is he informed about?
That's a great question. I need an example of like something where it's like, Matt, you nailed that, brother.
Yeah. Oh, he just nails Steelers draft.
He might. I'm not keyed in on the other 31 franchises, but he's if you don't know, just don't put that out there. Because here's what you can understand. Like, Garofalo's on our show. He knows the sandbox the Cardinals are playing in. I will give Albert Breer immense amount of credit. He's got ties with the Cardinals, got ties to Ohio State. Like, what he put in his article a couple of weeks ago, James Pierce Jr., Walter Nolen, and he put Mike Green in there. He's like, I think one of those three guys are going to be the pick, right? There are some people who play, I think it was somebody else. I think it was Breer again last week after the Calais Campbell signing. He's like, more is needed. They want an edge rusher. It's like, there are people, national people who are tapped into this team. And I know we dog on the national media a lot. We feel like we do our best to bring on the people that really have connections to this franchise that are worth listening to. We will never shill for the sake of shilling just to get a quote-unquote big name. Why did we bring Mina Kimes on here? Because she's the best analyst at ESPN right now, and she's tapped into the NFC West, right? There has to be value.
Yeah. Mina did do her mock draft today.
I did see that. I wasn't very happy with that.
Did you see this, Damon?
Who do we get?
She made a trade. This was with Dane Brugler, who also is the draft analyst over at The Athletic, and they pulled off a trade, interdivision trade. So the Seahawks, her beloved Hawks, come up from 18 to 16.
Okay.
2 spots. And the Seahawks take Gray Zabel out of North Dakota State. The Cardinals drop down 2 picks and take Alabama linebacker Jihad Campbell, 18th overall.
Ben Albright said that Jihad Campbell, 2nd-round pick.
I saw that too. I saw Mel Kiper saying that as well. Mel Kiper's talked to a couple people in the know. Who like Mel Kiper, there was a run there where he got a lot of flack. I've come back to Mel Kiper. I think he's more positive than negative as far as his draft analysis.
If you're on April 7th still mocking this team to take a guard or an off-ball linebacker at 16, we just can't help you anymore. Go with the football gods. Do your thing. It's just, how much more evidence do you need? Akeem Gaithers-Davis is making like $1 million. Not really, but he's making like $4 million. He could call the Cardinals defense. They're not taking an off-ball linebacker at 16. Simmons and Campbell, they are hurt. Let's take them at 16. They had surgery recently. Perfect.
Right.
Perfect.
When you get down to like Kelvin Banks Jr., I think that's where it becomes an interesting conversation. I'm out on Kelvin Banks Jr. with the idea that he's never played a different position outside of left tackle. You have a left tackle. Like you're looking for somebody to potentially play right tackle in the future. I don't know the advantage of taking Kelvin Banks Jr. at 16th overall.
I also think the Cardinals watched The Cardinals watched a lot of Texas football offensive line tape last year. Christian Jones, they took him in the 5th round. So they probably know all they need to know on Kelvin Banks Jr. Where's the top 30 visit? If Kelvin Banks Jr. takes a top 30 visit, then I'll entertain it. Where is it? Where the hell is it? I don't see it. You know, I see about 100 different defensive linemen. Let's take a look. We got super chats, but we got almost 1,100 people watching live. Guys, we're a little short on the likes. Can you throw a couple broskies here on PHNX Cardinals? Some likes? The more likes you get, the more fun we have. It's science. Let's take a look at the draft order. There's been some rumblings of some risers and some fallers. Starting with Tennessee, Cam Ward's a lock. It's a done deal. Now it seems like Travis Hunter, after his workout where some of his routes were a little dicey as a wideout, he is presumably going to go
making cuts.
Yeah, it was interesting. Cleveland is going to
go. Apparently, RK sent off a tweet about where he ran a similar route to that in a game. But I was like, dude, Travis Hunter is kind of a smaller guy. Like we've stood kind of near him. Mm-hmm. If he tried that against an NFL defensive back, he's getting put back 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage.
You know who doesn't like Travis Hunter going second is the New England Patriots. But we'll entertain it right now. Travis Hunter goes to Cleveland. Abdul Carter, who everybody assumed could have been the number 1 pick, who had surgery. Oh, look, a guy who had surgery is falling a couple spots. Well. Abdul Carter is meeting with the Giants for dinner, a private get-together. They have Kayvon Thibodeau and Brian Burns. So are they shipping one of those guys off? Hello, I'd love one of those players. They did pick up Thibodeau's 5th-year option, so I guess they're just going to have a bunch of defensive linemen. And then now you look at a team like New England, Bo, and I think that all signs point to Will Campbell or Membo. The more we hear about the Patriots, the more they're going to go offensive tackle.
Yeah, why not protect your number 1 asset now that Drake May showed that he can play a little bit last year? I don't hate that at all. And then Jacksonville, where do they get in? What's mostly being discussed with the Jags?
I mean, Jags going to jag. There's talk now of the Jaguars passing on Mason Graham. And so Mason Graham right now presumably could fall to the back half of the top 10, which, I mean, again, you're talking about a dream scenario. It is. I don't even want to get my hopes up for that. But right now there's talk that Jacksonville could go Membu. Jacksonville could go, they're not going to go Genty or a wide receiver, but I think offensive lineman makes a lot of sense for them. Maybe they like, one of these 2nd-tier edge rushers. The Jags are probably one of the toughest teams to kind of spot check in the 1st round because new hierarchy, new GM.
Yeah. 14-year-old general manager.
Yeah. Kid GM.
Hauser GM.
Like, what if they just took Tyler Warren here and then they just start yelling Duval at each other? That'd be hilarious.
I know this isn't exactly, doesn't nail it down too much, but the Jags currently are minus 135 for a D lineman / edge and plus 250 for an O lineman, and everything else is like astronomically out of the range. So it seems like they're going trenches either way.
So they picked up Trayvon Walker's 5th year, right?
Yep. He's fine.
Yeah, he's fine. But doesn't that kind of, with Josh Allen, doesn't that kind of point to interior?
I think when you have Kid Genius GM,
Doogie Howser GM.
Doogie Howser, Kid Genius, I think is Jalen Walker like a sleeper pick right here?
Do you think Damon knows who Doogie Howser is?
I do not.
I'm waiting for Damon to respond.
Yeah, I can tell. I do not.
So in the 80s, early 90s, there was a television show, a dramedy, if you will, where Neil Patrick Harris, it was his big role, was a kid doctor, but he was a genius, and it was called Doogie Howser MD, and it was like a kid as a doctor, and it was like
somebody would come in and bleeding out. and there'd be a little kid there in a coat, and he's got a stethoscope, and he's like, all right, this guy needs surgery. And then he was the guy that did it.
And PH, man.
That's right.
He doesn't miss.
He doesn't.
The photos too of him in like the white coat. It's just like looks like the kids in my son's school. It's like, all right, Mr. Brack, I'm here to operate. It's
right.
Like, hey, you're in the 4th grade. That's the kind of TV before streaming. It's like, I guess this is
like
on.
That's just like the Jags gym. It's the same thing. It's like, hey, I'd like to pull off a trade. It's like, son, where are your parents?
Get Shad Khan on the phone right now, young man. All right. I'm gonna subscribe to the theory that the Jaguars are not gonna bungle that. They're gonna take Mason Graham. Let's look at this again. Damon, can we have the top 16 back on here? I'm also gonna subscribe to the theory that Benjamin Albright is never wrong. And he said many moons ago that Ashton
he knows more about the Vegas Raiders than he does about Wolves, and he knows a ton about Wolves.
Ashton Genty, he said at the combine 6 weeks ago that it was already done, that Ashton Genty was going to be a Raider. And I'm like, what, Ben? They haven't even worked out here. They haven't had pro days, top 30. He's like, that's done. That's going to be done.
He looked you in your eyes and like was just like, yeah, they're taking
And
Genty.
Since then, I've been putting money on Genty to the Raiders every single day. And basically, like, my future revolves around Benjamin Albright's reporting.
When everybody thought that the Raiders were going to take Shedeur Sanders or they're going to trade up for Cam Ward, he was like, no, they're taking Ashton Genty. And what happened? They got Geno Smith. They extended him. So I'm going to stick with Genty here. Damon, what does Vegas say about the Jets' first pick?
It says that they are going with offensive line most likely, but that the tight end is also in the cards.
Oh, God, inject it. Give me.
We're looking at minus 120 O lineman plus 230 tight end right now.
Wow.
Kind of a difference. So, yeah, I mean, overwhelmingly. So they think Membo here or Campbell?
Yeah, I believe so. One of those two or Tyler Warren.
I mean, like looking at the Jets depth chart, they took Olu Fashanu.
Mm-hmm.
They took John Simpson a couple years ago, Elijah Vera Tucker, and then they've got Okafor, who's a 3rd rounder of the Patriots forever ago. Yeah, they need a right tackle.
It's like Mekhi Becton who busted.
Yeah.
They lost Morgan Moses to the Patriots. They do need a right tackle, but the rest of their line is fairly set.
Their tight end,
the best offensive line that Justin Fields has played behind by a lot.
Their starting tight end is somebody called Jeremy Ruckert. Was a 3rd round pick out of Ohio State. Oh, I remember him now. Jeremy Ruckert had 105 yards receiving last year. Is that how you pronounce his name?
Wow. Playmaker. I honestly have no idea. I think, yeah, that's not a good option. But at the same time, I mean, do you also hear that they might open up like the running back by committee in New York?
Well, it sounds like they're going to take Genty if he falls to them.
Why would they do that with Breece Hall?
They're going to try to trade Breece Hall.
What they had from Allen.
That's been reported.
I saw that recently on the Twitter streets. I mean,
Breece Hall posted something like cryptic on his Instagram, like, "Oh, there's a monkey with a cigarette looking down at an iPhone." Basically, like, "Oh, you want to do this?" I think that their new head coach, who's from Detroit, what's his name?
Aaron Glenn.
It was like Genty, Jahmyr Gibbs. There's going to be a lot of dumb people who think Jahmyr Gibbs and Ashton Genty are like elixirs for their offense when the Lions did years and years of work up front before they took Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah. And Taylor Decker. And they got Penei Sewell.
Ragnarok at center. They got a couple mid-round guards that hit.
Thor Ragnarok?
Yeah, Thor Ragnarok.
What a player. Frank Ragnow.
Think Ragnarok. Get this guy out of here. All right, let's keep looking here.
Okay.
I'm hijacking the show, and I could do this all day. By the way, a special episode this Sunday, Cards After Dark. I know I'm promoting that 6 days in advance. Carolina Panthers, Damon, is it minus 500 take a defensive lineman?
Yeah, it seems as though, we thought it could be Jalen Walker for a second. That seems to now be plus 250 because I would assume that's the only linebacker that they could take at 9 here or at 8. So I think you're minus 150 for a D lineman edge rusher seems to be the new favorite in the clubhouse.
But how would that pay out with Jalen Walker, though? I feel like he's an edge rusher.
They consider him a linebacker, I believe.
Wow. That might be good value to cheat Vegas.
Didn't they show like Shemar Stewart? He's in Charlotte making a visit today, but it might be a little too early for Shemar.
Inject Tyler Warren at 7 and Stewart at 8, and we are eating good at Gila.
Michael Williams, I think he's probably in the conversation there, right?
No doubt about it. Yep. Rounding out the top 10 here, we'll go quick. New Orleans is anybody's guess. If they pass on Shedeur, I feel like Membo's a good option here. Will Johnson. They have no good players. The Saints are just kind of starting over.
The Saints Vegas line is one of the most insane things I've ever seen in my entire life. I mean, I'm going to be here all day. It's quarterback plus 300 favorite, plus 350 corner, plus 450 D-line, plus 600 wide receiver, plus 600 offensive lineman, plus 750 linebacker, plus 800 tight end. Like, it's all in the same neck of the woods. They have no idea.
You know what you're doing. I mean, like, T-Mac? People are saying T-Mac to the Saints, Damon. How would you feel about that?
God help us. I'll be honest. I know people aren't going to like this, but I think in terms of the top half of the draft, I think the Cowboys is easily the best option for T-Mac.
Oh, no doubt.
Dak compiles stats. He won't have the attention on him because of CD. I think that career-wise, that makes the most sense for him.
And then, of course, the Bears at 10. Genty or Braggs is going to play right tackle for them. Greg Braggs Jr.
I mean, he's saying tackle, whatever tackle's available. Yeah. And that's the smart move.
What's tough?
That would finish a pretty good offseason for polls. I mean, given what was available.
RB is the favorite, though.
Really?
Yes.
Hampton at 10.
I think they might go Hampton at 10.
Oh, that would be awesome.
I mean, best case scenario, the Jets take a tight end, maybe Vegas takes Genty.
Yeah.
The Bears take Hampton, and Dallas takes T-Mac, and then the Colts take Loveland. Does that not inject that into my veins?
Yeah, cooking. I can't believe they would do that. Do you think Bears fans, after all this, would they celebrate that pick?
No, they would be so upset.
I would hope they would melt down.
They'd talk themselves into it. Johnny, you know that.
Well, they have no choice. They're connected to that franchise for life, for better or worse. We know what that's like. Hampton at 10 is the equivalent of Daniel Jones at 6. I feel like that those are like you're playing in the same ballpark. And I like Hampton. That's not Hampton anywhere near the top 10 is like with all these defensive linemen available, and you're going to take a running back. The Bears defense last year, we saw it up close in Arizona, was atrocious. The Cardinals ran for like 200
sweat
yards.
In that game. They didn't have Sweat. Mm-hmm. They were a different defense with Sweat.
Who's their D coordinator? Didn't they get Allen from Saints?
Oh, yeah.
Dennis Allen's running their defense. I like Hampton. Yeah, Shaft's saying to Denver. I think that's probably more appropriate.
Yeah, if he doesn't go to the Bears, I think that's his spot.
It's going to be interesting. Let's get to your super chats. Thank you for being patient, everybody. We're going to probably do that a couple times a week, just to kind of say what we've heard. And speaking of hearing, Greg Hanlon, 199, kicking us off, Bo. Any truth to these James Bradberry to the Cardinal rumors?
I mean, we've talked about a veteran corner basically all offseason long, but I haven't seen anything connecting Bradberry outside of easy connecting the dots that he played under Gannon.
Don't you feel like if he could play still and could give them what they want, and then the ties to Gannon, that would be done already? I mean,
yeah.
I mean, I understand it's easy to connect the dots, but I don't know. To me, it's one of those things where he's over 30 years old. That's not their preference. They don't like to be old. They would rather be young at the position. They'd rather have guys in their first, second, and third year. They need an outside corner, and that's going to ring true here in the coming weeks. But I wouldn't peg that as the favorite right now. I think the whole corner market's at a standstill. None of these guys are signing. Short stacked Goblin, Bo, 199. With Kyler's record, why not? Good organizations do. I think that's in relation to taking Shedeur Sanders, Bo.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It just feels like the Cardinals wouldn't be in the Shedeur Sanders business. I mean, if you want, you can make that conversation or make that debate for a different quarterback Cam Ward, Jackson Dart, Jalen Milroe. I think you could do that. I just don't see the Cardinals meshing with Shedeur Sanders.
So there's nothing that would fit arm talent, mobility, off the field questions, entourage. He checks respectfully like these minimal boxes outside of completion percentage. Plus, what do we always say on the show? If you're touting completion percentage as your attribute coming in the NFL, that's like boilerplate. That's like showing up to class on time. You're not doing the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
We need guys with big time ability, arm talent, mobility, size, right? Kyler Murray is a significantly better quarterback than Shedeur Sanders. I know some of you guys are anti-Kyler Murray. It's not even close. That guy, TY, $4.99, gave us a super sticker, which we appreciate that. And then earlier in the show, he did say we were hating on Shedeur a little too much. And again, I don't know if that's the comment he wants to come across here, a part of a super sticker. I do remember it, but like I would root for Shedeur to have success for sure.
Yeah, I'm just trying to go based off of what I feel like I know about this organization.
Yeah.
And then what's public knowledge about Shedeur Sanders. And as far as what they're seeking is from their players. And I don't know if you can debate it all you want, but like what would be deemed as distracting and would take away from their ability to focus on winning football games. Shedeur would come in here as QB2. And I just don't know if they want to play that game necessarily at this time. I think they want to give Kyler Murray the best opportunity to be successful this season. They bring in a veteran quarterback to back him up, to bring in somebody that, would very unlikely see the field, but would command a lot of media attention and distractions. I just don't see why they would want that.
Let's keep it going.
Be able to go and vie for a starting job somewhere. I don't disagree with that. I mean that like the best way possible.
And then if you drafted Shedeur with Kyler, you'd have to get Kyler Murray off the roster within the next 25 picks. You just couldn't do both. Can't do both. There would be no reality in which you could do that.
Jimmy.
Yeah, go ahead, Bo.
199. Are you nervous if the Rams draft Shedeur?
Yeah, I'm always, until McVay does something incorrect, I'd always be nervous for sure.
I agree with Johnny on that point. That would give me confidence that Shedeur was going to be a good quarterback.
I would take it. He doesn't have remember Baker Mayfield went and had a little tiny bit of success there right before he went to the Bucs. But I think you need to have a strong arm to run that offense.
I couldn't handle the NFL Network propaganda.
Then again,
McVay and Sanders, it would kill me as a football fan. I couldn't watch it.
Jimmy G, he's got a rag arm. He's in that offense, so I take that back. Short stacked goblin.
The goblin in this offseason. Right. We appreciate you, my friend.
199, you're 7, and we still don't know if Kyler is good.
We do know he's good. He has the ability to play great. Yeah. I think that's pretty well. Is that not pretty well known? He's a good quarterback with the ability to play great.
Dana R, $5 as a Raku. Sorry, Johnny, and probably wanted to read this one. Was just a bit faster. I think he'd be my edge 1. Get this man in the NFL conditioning program.
Ezaraku. I pronunciate it better than Bo. I think he's a logical Dana trade down candidate. I think any team that gets him in the 20s is going to be very happy. I think he's very comparable in terms of where he gets drafted as Chop Robinson last year. I'm not saying they're the same kind of prospects, but I mean, are we going to overthink this? And Ezaraku is just going to come into the NFL and just start stacking 12 sack seasons. It's oh yeah, that guy who had 1 million sacks at Boston College, Zach Allen coming out of Boston College has warmed me to the potential that good defensive linemen can come from there. Now, I know that was a while ago, but
that's the BC defender that changed your mind.
ACC defenders, man. Yeah. Johnny loves him.
Luke Kuechly stunk.
Who's that?
Luke Kuechly was just bad.
Well, that was a while. And then he was an off-ball guy. He's an off-ball guy. Man, those uniforms
Your criteria is
those Boston College uniforms are horrendous. They are so bad. It's part of the aesthetic too. I can't look at those.
Trenton Smith, $4.99. Do you see the mock draft for the Cardinals moving up to select Kelvin Banks Jr.?
That's the appropriate emoji, Trenton Smith. We appreciate the super chat. I didn't see that.
I think it was maybe a week ago.
I mean, all right, let's do a little scenario here. Cardinals select Kelvin Banks Jr. pick 16. I think we're all taken back. Then what? Then what do we do? Then what happens?
Right.
What does the next day look like? What is OTAs and training camp look like? Well, how does that project for this year?
That gives you nothing. Gives you nothing. I mean, it makes you feel confident about your offensive line and the future of it. Like, I won't discount that. But as far as the ability to impact, year one, like there's going to be a ton of questions that are going to rise as far as Paris Johnson Jr. stay at left tackle, his best position, or he's shown more versatility in his playing career. Kelvin Banks Jr., does he move back to right tackle? Do you like that? No. Doesn't play into the continuity that the Cardinals really like as far as offensively or just overall.
I think Kelvin Banks Jr. has a good chance to end up San Francisco, Miami. There's some teams that are in. I don't think I would.
He's long arms. He performed well in a great conference, especially this year.
Not heavy.
Yeah,
I think the Cardinals aren't in dire need of a tackle. Is it okay to say that they have 2 starting tackles on the team?
Right.
Don't you think if they would have wanted to take a first-round tackle, they wouldn't have re-signed Beach?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, yeah, because then what you draft a tackle, like a high tackle, and then is he your swing or is he your starter, and then Jonah becomes your swing?
If Jonah Williams was hurt and couldn't play, they would cut him and get most of his money back, and they could take a tackle, right? But they're keeping him, and they were like, he's going to be ready. And then they signed Kelvin Beach.
Ossenfort told Darren Urban of azcardinals.com that he expects he's both Paris Johnson Jr. and Jonah Williams, who both ended the season on IR, are doing great this offseason. And he expects them, does he say both to be ready to start the season? Yeah. I don't think there's any questions about Paris, but Jonah was the one that were questioning. I mean, now he's on the record twice saying he's expecting Jonah Williams to be in there.
Paris is like world traveling, enjoying his offseason, as he should. It just doesn't make sense. Remember when Anthony Davis went to the Niners in the first round forever ago? I think he was like a stalwart right tackle forever, and it just made sense. If there was that kind of guy, it's like this guy plays right tackle and he's a stud, but he plays on the right side and it only fits criteria for a certain amount of teams, but we've got a top 10 grade on him. That would make sense. That guy doesn't exist in this draft. Randy, $5. How would you guys feel about Hunter to the Giants or the Browns, then Sanders there at 16? Oh boy. That team offers 25, 2 and offers 25, 2 and 3 plus 26, 1 and more. Do we do that? So basically, are you going to take a 2 this year and a 1?
A second and third this year and a first next year, I believe.
Yes, 100%. In this draft, for sure you do that.
So we wouldn't get a first?
You get 1 next year.
Yeah, okay. All right.
From the Giants, too.
Yeah.
It's top 5 every year.
Yeah. The Giants have multiple 2s this year, Randy. So Ossenfort can jump back into the first round and get his guy and then just have a first next year. Let's think about what the theme of this offseason is with these guys they're bringing in. I'd love them in the 20s.
Bees, $2. Let's see, Dante Thornton, 6'5", 4'3", good hands. Day 2 or day 3?
I'll be honest, I don't know much about his game.
Hasn't Dante Thornton, you haven't eyed him a lot in your mock draft simulator days?
Didn't he play for Tennessee, right? Let me look him up here. Yeah, he plays for Tennessee. Oh, just a modest 25.4 yards per catch. Ossenfort gave more quotes to Darren Urban about what they look for at receiver, needing a receiver. It talks about speed and some other stuff.
Yeah,
I just feel like
Miller was reading.
Yeah, maybe. I just feel like this year you'd really have to love a guy to take a receiver on day 2. I just don't. Again, Zay Jones, Greg Dortch, they're on the team. Greg Dortch, I saw, was working out on his Instagram. He looks like he's in great shape.
Yeah. Keeping it going here. How about Reezy Baby? $2. 1 day closer to James Pierce Jr. and Donovan McJackson. # hold the line.
I think Donovan Jackson, Reezy Baby, is going to be better than Tyler Booker. How about that? Donovan Jackson, elite at Ohio State, national champion, bigger. Tyler Booker, I think, again, question the arm strength. 21 reps on the bench press, bro. Minimal expectations at 47 come in. You have to start. You don't have to start. He could.
Yeah.
That's the kind of guard they're looking for. Absolutely. Sign me up for if we could sign up for that draft, I'd do it today.
I'm out on Bama O linemen. I saw somebody post like all the first round Bama O linemen over the last 10 years, and it's a pretty horrific list of busts.
Yeah.
I'm out.
CBK $2. Keep an eye on Isaac Taslaw and Sean Dolak. Dogs. Taslaw, wide receiver from Arkansas. And then Dolak, I'm unfamiliar with his game.
I'm with the theme. Everybody loves Kyle Williams right now too. CBK, I'm on the theme of it's time for the Cardinals to hit on a mid to late round receiver. Like good franchises do that, right? Go and get a guy in the middle of day 2, or middle of day 3 that can come in and help the team. And I think Michael Wilson like qualifies as that as well, but he was a top 100 pick. A lot of teams, I mean, Puka Nacua is the extreme example, as a 5th round pick, but like a lot of these teams find contributors on day 3. Cardinals go and do that. Go do that this year. This is a good year. It's not a great receiver class, but if you want to take a wideout, please don't do it in the top 100. I don't want to do that.
Schaff saying Taslaw 6'4" is really good RAS and plays in the slot.
Yep. Check.
Started at Hillsdale College, former alma of a big-time player for the Cardinals, and Jared Valdir.
I was wondering whether that university sounded familiar. Yeah, he was great. Man, what a start to this week. I'm going to tell everybody right now, turn your notifications on Manana for this little fanboy podcast. Like this video, subscribe to PHNX Sports here on YouTube. Tickets, by the way, still available for our golf outing this weekend at Dobson Ranch. I'm going to be there. Bo's going to be there. Damon's going to be there. We're going to be having a blast. Damon's and I are going to be screwing around in golf carts. Bo's actually going to try to play in a foursome. We might sabotage that. We will not sabotage.
We're just thinking the same thing, Johnny. Let's yell on his backswing. I'm all in.
I might actually perform better if you guys are doing that.
It's like, hey, what'd you sign up to do, Johnny and Damon? We're here to mess with Bo. That's our job.
And knowing who our bosses are, they'd probably be like, great. Tell me how it goes. Good luck with that.
Check that. Film it for content.
You guys are gonna be like on Jackass. Did you ever see where they had like the air horn and they would play it in the guy's backswings?
I think that's encouraged where we're going. I think that's encouraged.
They'll love it.
It's encouraged. Everybody drop a like on this video. Again, big time show tomorrow. We are fired up. We want to see you a part of this community, become a diehard, and of course, subscribe to PHNX Sports here on YouTube. Get us to 40,000 subscribers. I'm going to challenge everybody right now before the NFL draft. We got a little more than 2 weeks. I know we can get there with all of you. Subscribe to PHNX Sports, #1 Arizona Cardinal podcast, #1 digital sports media company in the Valley. Because of all of you, get us to that next level, Bo.
If you jump on it right now and go become a diehard, go PHNX.com. You can find out super top secret information tomorrow around noon. Stuff we've been sitting on. Some big stuff.
Big boy stuff.
If you're a diehard already, can't wait for you to find out. Of course, if you want, drop in the comments, not the chat, in the comments what you think it might be. But if you jump over and become a diehard tonight, early tomorrow, you'll be privy to information that not everybody's going to be able to hear just on the Twitter streets by following us on Twitter at PHNX_Cardinals or Johnny Venerable or Damon Dawg.
How about that for a tease? CBK asking, when and where do we send in our mocks for Fan Mock Friday? Are we doing that this Friday? Yeah, we are doing that this Friday. CBK will have more information on that either tomorrow or Wednesday. But if you guys have good mocks, We're going to ask you to send them in. We're going to give you details later this week, and then we will go through what we have on Friday as a collective, because we want to see. We want to see what you're cooking up in the mock draft oven. In the meantime, like this video, subscribe to PHNX Sports on YouTube. Huge week for this little fanboy podcast. For Damon, Dawg, Bo Brack, I'm Johnny Venerable. We'll see you tomorrow.
We all silly like the mayor.